Today on Locked On Rockies, we check in on the road to 61 wins and look ahead to the Mets, baby.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 6th day of August in the year 2024. I'm your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, well, guess what? You're in the right spot, because that's what we do around here each and every day, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services. I'm Paul Holden, your Rockies fan extraordinaire. Been bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk here for over 3 seasons now, and been following this team my entire life. So if you are interested in the Colorado Rockies, if you want to follow along with a basement-dwelling NLS team, well, you can find us on your favorite streaming services and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can be part of the show. You can fire off your Rockies hot takes. You can let me know what's on your mind when it comes to the Colorado Rockies. And I thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. A lot of stuff out there to listen to. So for all the folks out there that listen to Locked On Rockies, thank you. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate your time. Today, we're going to look at the road to 61 wins, as a couple of my Twitter followers were calling it. We'll look at the Mets preview, including asking the question about Kyle Freeland and what the matchup is like for him as the Rockies return home for an NL East back-to-back brawl against 2 above 500 teams, and 2 teams that are in interesting spots, 2 teams that certainly don't want to come into Coors Field and lose this series, and certainly really don't want to lose at any point. There is there's some hope, there's some intrigue. But when it comes to the Mets and the Braves, those 2 teams are certainly looking there. And anytime they're going to be matching up against basement-dwelling teams, they're going to want to handle business. As when you take a look at the NL East, these series will have impacts, at least on the second place standings. Not so much the first, but the position between the Braves and the Mets, and that could be a wild card position, that could come under fire here. But we'll take a look at that and more coming up next here on the show. Before we dive into everything today, got to let you know that we are brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more as playoffs wind down. The sports stop sporting like we want them to, but this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. So let's take a look at the schedule here, and let's see if the Rockies are actually going to be able to win 61 games. And really, in reality, it starts with the division. We've talked about this topic before, and we have broken down the schedule a little bit. But now, after the trade deadline, injuries, where the season has gone, we kind of can get a little more predictive here, and we get a little bit more understanding of where the Rockies are going, at least in the second half here. The Rockies so far in the second half have won 1, 2, 3, 4. They have won 7 games. They have lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They are 7-10 to start the second half. Mind you, 10 of those games were on the road. But as we're looking at the schedule here, like we mentioned, we got the Braves and the Mets in town here for a 6-game set before the Rockies go to Arizona. When I look at this, and when I look at, so the Rockies are sitting at 41 wins. They need 20 more wins to hit the over of 60.5 that was set before the season. And so when I look at this, I see 3, 6, 9, 12. I see 15 games against the NL West. Unfortunately, I see the Rockies maybe getting 5 wins there. You have to go, you have San Diego coming in there. You got to go to Arizona. And then at the end of the season, you have the same thing that I don't know if it's time to call conspiracy. I don't know what it is to call. But why do the Rockies always play the Dodgers to end the season? It's not the Diamondbacks, it's not the Padres, it's not the Giants. No. It's another situation in which in the final 2 weeks of the season, the Rockies play the Dodgers 6 times. And I'm just throwing it out there. No evidence, no nothing. Again, this is for the sake of just something that has piqued my interest. It's a little interesting that the MLB schedules keep coming out and the Rockies finish the season against the Dodgers. At least maybe to me. I mean, 6 games against the Rockies to end the season for the Dodgers. There's a series in between there for both teams. Just a little. Is it a little strange? Am I the only one? Maybe I'm the only one that's that's a little thinking that's a little strange. Anyway, I'm trying to take a look at the schedule for next year because I want to see if the Rockies have the Dodgers to end the season next year. And let's see. Scrolling. Okay, so see now next year they end on the Giants. And they don't play maybe it's a cycle. Maybe it's something like that because the last games against the Dodgers are the beginning of September for the Rockies next year. But it just is something that made me think, made me ponder. So anyway, sorry, distracted there. So we're getting 5 games there. We'll get 5 games, I think, for the Rockies against the NL West. They haven't played the NL West well. They got to go on the road against the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks. The good news is the majority of these remaining games against the division are at home. You only have those 2 road series left against the NL West with Arizona and the Dodgers. So that'll be interesting. The rest of those matchups do bring teams to Coors Field. So it could that number could change because while the Rockies just lost to the Padres could Padre here in I believe next week. Yeah, next week when they're back in town not this week coming weekend, but the following weekend when San Diego's back in town. That could be an interesting one. But here's another interesting thing. 6-game road trip here between Washington and the New York Yankees. And it's just like that's a weird road series where I could see the Rockies pissing off a lot of people and beating those teams. But man, the Nationals have played them well. I know the Nationals have not have been real hot and cold this year and haven't been necessarily overall great and were some sellers at the deadline, 51-62 on the year for the Nationals. But there's something about when they play the Rockies. There's something about when those teams match up that I just lean on Washington in that matchup. And of course, the Yankees are a team that is good. The big question, and I think the big interesting thing for the Rockies when they visit the Yankees, and if they can get a couple of wins in that series, is how is the offense doing at that point? How is the offense able to take advantage of a offensive friendly ballpark? Especially with the fact that the Rockies have been hitting more home runs and the Rockies are using the long ball more. That's going to be an interesting factor to see when they get to New York. On the other side of that is, can the Rockies pitching staff handle the New York Yankees offense and avoid damage and big damage from Aaron Judge? So in that 6-game set, I'm going to go 2 wins for the Rockies, just because, I think that's a tough road trip against 2 teams that will be looking to do damage. But I think that this Washington and New York series actually does open up the possibility for the Rockies to steal a couple of wins there. In this coming homestand between the Braves and the Mets, I'm gonna go with the Rockies going 500. I'm gonna go with the Rockies picking up 3 wins here. So we got what is that, 5? So we're at 10 wins here, taking us to the end of August. So that gets the Rockies 10 wins away from where they need to be in order to go above not above 500, in order to get to the 61 win mark, and then. This is a series after the New York one that the Rockies should handle. Again, this was they went to Miami, and I know they've struggled in Miami, but they blew chances. They blew opportunities, and Miami blew it up. So if you can't handle 3 out of 4 against Miami, that's a major problem. That's a big, big problem. Miami is a team. There are a few teams the Rockies should beat. Miami is a team that the Rockies should beat. And so I'm going to give the Rockies 3 wins there. Baltimore coming into town after that. Let's go 1 on the Sunday game to avoid. So I'm going to go 4 wins there. So the Rockies are sitting pretty good on the road to 61 in our hypothetical here. And then here's a long road trip here. This is a 9-game road trip at Atlanta, at Milwaukee, and at Detroit. The Rockies just went 3-7 on their last 10-game road trip in California. And these are against 2. And then if Detroit maybe can keep playing good ball, maybe a wild card team, perhaps. I'm going to give the Rockies 2 wins on this road trip. I think Atlanta and Milwaukee are going to be in near postseason form, trying to sharpen themselves up. And Detroit, it could go either way there. So I'm going to go with 2 wins there. So I think that we are at about the 14, 15 range, if my math is correct. And then let's see, Chicago and Arizona, mid-September at Coors Field. Chicago is a weird team. They're not great. And where will Arizona be? Are they going to be the red-hot Arizona team that is fighting their way into the playoffs? Remember, folks, Arizona not out of the mix when it comes to the playoffs right now. They are above 500. They are certainly sitting there waiting to take over the Padres if they get an opportunity to do so. You know what? I'm going to go 3 wins there. I'm going to go 3 wins on that one. And then let's see, LA, St. Louis, LA, with 6 out of those 9 games being at home. I think I'm going to go 4. I'm going to go 4 wins just because I think that you can get, and if my math is correct, that is just going to be enough for the Rockies to get 61 wins. There is a path here for the Rockies not only to get 61 wins, but get to 62, get to 63, and avoid the 100-loss season. If things go really well, if they play better on the road, and if they continue to beat teams at home and play well against above 500 teams, because the Rockies have a lot of teams above 500 that they are playing. I believe there are only 2 teams the Rockies are playing that are below 500 right now. Nope, the Tigers are also below 500 by 7 games. And so 4 teams are below 500 the Rockies face for the rest of the season. So if the Rockies handle business in those series, you're already looking at a spot where you can get to your 20 wins there. I mean but it's not going to be enough. You're going to have to win a series, steal a series from Baltimore, Atlanta, Milwaukee, the Dodgers, or the Diamondbacks if they're going to get to that 61 win total and hit the over that a lot of people are hoping for. All right. That was a little long, so let's take a break here, and then we will take a look at the matchups here for the Mets and talk about the upcoming baseball. Instead of looking ahead, let's talk about the baseball that's coming up today. That's next on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes SupplyHouse.com. SupplyHouse.com has got the skills. That's got everything for the skilled trades. Order supplies from the website that's made for the skilled trades. Find thousands of parts from hundreds of brands in just a couple of clicks at SupplyHouse.com. SupplyHouse.com gives you 24/7 access to a huge selection of plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with fast delivery anywhere in the U.S. Need help with an order? Get industry-leading after-sales service from their friendly and knowledgeable customer support team and talk to a real person. Yes, a real person every time. And there's great news for plumbers, technicians, and contractors. Being a pro has its perks. Trade industry professionals can join their free Trade Master program for free shipping and serious discounts on every order. Over 100,000 pros already trust the Trade Master program to deliver results. Apply for your membership today and get a competitive edge on every order at supplyhouse.com/TM. Save money and time when you order online. Order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. Folks, this is the Locked On Rockies podcast. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. For your second listen, enjoy the Locked On MLB podcast. Host Paul Sullivan, a.k.a. Sully, is here to provide daily national expertise with his trademark humor to help get you ready for the playoffs here in the dog days of summer. Prepare for the Fall Classic with Sully, who has it covered every single day on Locked On MLB. Available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, let's see, folks. Oh, reminder, get your Rockies play-by-play action all season long on SiriusXM and the SiriusXM app. And Locked On Sports Today has got you covered 24/7 streaming sports content available to you on YouTube. Rockies taking on the Mets, and it's going to be an interesting series, I think. And the Mets are a fascinating team, a team that, again, drew a lot of ire, and again, and one that had a lot of people commenting about the state of the Mets and the situation with the Mets going in. And then they turned it around. It's almost kind of like if you build a roster of good talent that if you give them time and enough time, they can actually pull off some good baseball, go in some good stretches here. The Rockies and the Mets did meet up already this season. The Rockies did have a chance to win the series, but dropped the first game in a one-game thing before the Mets won 7-3 in game 2. The Rockies winning 8-5 in the final. This was back in mid-July, so not too long ago did these two teams match up here. It'll be interesting to see if the Rockies what factor Charlie Blackmon will be back in the lineup once that ice. I know that it's been a bit since that eye, but what a freak injury. We didn't talk about that really that much. Was man, that was a weird thing when it came to Charlie Blackmon. Totally freaked, just weird way the ball bounced and got him right in the eye there. So scary moment, but only turned out to be just a lot of swelling and stuff. But I'm sure that he'll be back. I believe I heard the broadcast mention in the last series that he was available in the finale, but they were just taking it easy. When you look at the numbers and when you look at some things, the Mets are ahead of the Rockies in just about every category here. It's a little bit close in some areas, but this is going to be a situation in which the Rockies are outmatched on both the offensive and the pitching side of the game in terms of the stats. I mean, you can judge for yourself as you will there. But the Mets as a team are batting .249 right now. They've hit 143 home runs. They're batting .322. OBP is .322 as a team. Slugging is .419. The Rockies .242 batting average, an OBP of .304, and a slugging of .400. So in the same ballpark, but still a few points, and consider, enough points for there to be a considerable gap between the two teams in the offensive categories. The big thing to watch will be who's going to be the home run team in this series. Are the Rockies going to be the ones that are continuing to hit the long ball? Are they going to continue to show the really, it feels like exponential growth in home run hitting that they showed in July here through August? We know Brenton Doyle's already got a home run. We've seen a couple of home runs there to start the month, but that's going to be the big thing because, again, the Mets have hit, 16 more home runs than the Rockies have this season. So that's got to be a weapon for the Rockies to be successful in this one. Let's take a look at some team pitching here. Team ERA for the Mets at 4.11, a whip of 1.29. They've walked 421 batters and struck out 997. The opponent's batting average against their pitching staff right now are batting .233. As for the Rockies are team ERA at 5.50, the whip at 1.52, 387 walks to 771 strikeouts, and opponents are batting .287 against them. Look at that massive difference in opponent batting average there. That's going to be a key thing there too. It's going to be who's going to hit the pitchers, and not just the power. It's going to be the doubles in the gap. Who's going to get the soft liners to land and keep the innings going with 2 outs? Who's going to be able to kind of activate the Coors Field effect and get things going there? And that's a real problem for the Rockies there too. When you see this batting average of teams batting nearly 300 against them, put the ball in play and good things happen, right? We see that all the time, especially at Coors Field, and that can be an issue for a Mets team here that's got firepower like Alonso and Nimmo and Lindor here. So the Rockies are going to have to limit the damage there, and they're going to have to be able to handle it. Now, the interesting thing as we're talking about hitting for average is the team leader for the Mets in batting average is Francisco Lindor at 253. So in terms of batting average alone, the Mets don't have the Mets are prone to getting out. The Mets have some issues in that area, but we know batting average isn't always the best indicator of offensive success. The thing that I'm interested to see as well is look at this stark difference between strikeouts and walks between the Mets pitching staff. 997 strikeouts to 421 walks. The Rockies are going to have to be disciplined and are going to have to avoid being sliced and diced and struck out a ton like they have dealt with throughout this year if they're going to have a chance in the series. That's effective pitching right there. That's almost going to be, 1,000 strikeouts and not walking 500 guys. That's pretty darn good. The Rockies are sitting at a good ratio in terms of strikeouts to walks there, but the difference in a batter struck out is just massive. We see now how many more teams are way more effective at the strikeout than the Rockies, and that's definitely a problem. It's an issue why the Rockies do get behind as well. They are 226 more strikeouts, 226 more strikeouts for Mets pitching this year when compared to the Rockies. So looking at the numbers, obviously favors the Mets, but it's the Rockies playing an above 500 team at home. It's been an interesting thing to watch. The Rockies still, though, 24-29 at home this year. So still not even above 500 or as dominant as they have been in the past at Coors. Let's see if that is a difference maker in this series. Let's talk about Kyle Freeland a little bit and wrap up our preview of the series coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes FanDuel.com. Well, we just went through all of the preview there for Rockies Mets, so why not go over to FanDuel.com and maybe take are you interested in taking a risk? Rockies money line. Maybe you want to stay riding with the Brenton Doyle hot streak. Well, see what the props that they offer there at FanDuel, because FanDuel's got you covered for all your sports betting needs. They got stuff going on all summer long, even though the playoffs aren't playoffing. You got Olympics. You got baseball. The WNBA is picking back up next week, and after the Olympics, there's going to be plenty of sports going on, and there's plenty of ways to get in on the action. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast. We're free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. Reminder, go check out Locked On MLB for your second listen of the day. If you need more Colorado sports coverage, Locked On Broncos, Locked On Avalanche, Locked On Nuggets, and Locked On Buffs, breaking down all things Colorado there on the Locked On Podcast Network, so check it out. So we were looking at the teams overall for this Mets-Rockies series. Let's take a look at the pitching matchup here tonight. Freeland looking to continue his hot stretch, but the Rockies are going up against Severino, who has had a real good season so far. 7-4 win-loss record with an ERA of 3.93, a whip of 1.24 in 123 innings pitched, 96 strikeouts to 44 walks, giving up 14 home runs this year. But that's, again, the big thing, the big issue. And this goes back to our can the Rockies hit 61 wins? It's strikeouts, man. This is going to be the name of the game. It's the same story that has been in every single series for the Rockies this year. How will they handle the strikeouts? Will they be able to put the pressure on and do some damage there? I'm sitting here and I'm looking and I'm like, okay, 14 home runs, but 96 strikeouts to 44 walks. It's going to be in the zone, or it's going to be close to the zone, and the Rockies are going to have to hit it and do some damage. The good news is for the Rockies is the last start for Severino, he was rocked. He only lasted 3 innings pitched. He gave up 6 earned runs, 2 home runs in that time. Only walked 2, struck out 2. We talked about control and we talked about walks. In his last 5 starts, he's walked at least 2 batters. A couple of times he's walked 3. So he is definitely prone to having some issues. But in that time as well, he's got a 7 strikeout game. He's got a 6 strikeout game. So the strikeouts are still going to be a factor. In the last 5, he's given up 5 home runs, but those have come in 2 out of the 5 games there. So he has been able to space out the long ball damage in between starts, and he's been going usually around 6 innings there, but 5 innings in the pitching performance before his most recent, and then 3 innings, like I said, in his most recent performance. So he's looking to bounce back. But Coors Field, not the friendliest place to have to look for a bounce back performance if the Rockies are able to get ahead early and jump on just jump on the momentum, get things going, get things rocking and rolling. So Freeland there is going to be, looking to continue his nice stretch here. The Rockies have won 4 out of the last 5 games that Freeland has pitched. Of course, he did have that dud against San Francisco where he only goes 4 innings, but in 4 out of his last 5 starts, he's gone at least 6 innings. He's had at least 5 strikeouts in 4 out of the 5 starts there. And the walks have been at around 1 a game. The issue, though, for Kyle Freeland, 4 straight games allowing at least 1 home run. In San Francisco, he allowed 2. But outside of the blemish from San Francisco, Kyle Freeland has kept the earned runs at 2 or below in 4 out of the last 5 starts. He's certainly been a better pitcher than we saw to start the year. He's been better off the IL, and he is exactly the type of guy that the Rockies are going to be looking for to start this series off on the right track. So we will be let's see, actually in his wow, is that, man, I forgot that game got out of hand, even though Kyle threw a pretty good one there against the Padres. Anyway, so that's the pitching matchup for today. It should be a good one. I think this is gonna be a good matchup tonight. I think get Kyle Freeland, get the Rockies at home after a road trip. I think they're a more comfortable, confident team there. We'll see how it goes. But interesting when you're looking. I mean, man, it's crazy to see Ezekiel Tovar have a better batting line than Francisco Lindor. Just a reminder of how good that guy is. So let me know what you think for this series. Let me know what's on your mind. It's the NL East. It is going to be really, really close. I mean, I think second place in the National League East is going to be impacted over the next 6 games at Coors Field because the Braves and the Mets are separated by a game, it would appear here at 60 and 50. Maybe there's a couple other things there. 60 and 51 for the Braves. The Mets are 59 and 53, so it's probably some more math and stuff in there as well. But if the Mets struggle and the Braves don't, the Braves can really, build up a nice solid lead there in second place in the NL East. If the Mets are able to handle the Rockies and the Braves aren't, Mets are going to find themselves back up into that second spot there in the National League East, trying to chase a Phillies team that is really struggling right now. So both of those teams trying to make up ground against a bad Colorado Rockies team. We'll see how it all pans out. Folks, that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Thank you so much for joining us today and making us your first listen of the day. Go check out Locked On MLB for your second listen of the day. Hang out with Sully. Get all the stuff you need to know about the big old Major League Baseball world, and lots more. You can also check out Locked On Broncos, Locked On Avalanche, Locked On Nuggets, and Locked On Buffs if you need more Colorado sports coverage. We'll react to the game and how it played out tomorrow, looking for the storylines that happened in the game, and again, continuing to watch how the Rockies could impact the greater big picture of playoff baseball, even though they're not going to be playing in the playoffs, unfortunately. Folks, thank you so much again for making us your first listen of the day. When you like the videos, when you subscribe, when you leave comments, it really helps the show grow. So I really do appreciate that. And until next time, this is Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.